Hi, my name is Frank Sikernitsky, and today I'm here to talk about a book I've co-written with some colleagues of mine named AI for Brands, Embracing the Future. Just a little bit about myself before we start onto the book is I started the first web magazine almost exactly 30 years ago this month. And it was a very exciting time as the web was something that was brand new and was really promising to change the way that technology and people were interacting. If you saw it, you kind of got it right at the moment, going, this is going to be a change. This is going to be big. And here we are 30 years later, and it feels like AI is a similar moment. It's a time when we're looking at how being able to interact with machines by just talking to them in plain language is going to change people's relationship with information, with business, with everything in their environment. So my colleagues and I got together, and based on our experience in the last 30 years in various businesses, in brands, in finance, in pharmaceuticals, in media, healthcare, we have decided that brands was a great place to start because it is where business intersects with the consumer. And that's one of the places that people are going to most acutely notice changes to the way that information gets to them, the way they're marketed to, and the way that they're seen by companies that are trying to market to them in the economy. So we started with generative AI as a group about 2.5 years ago, although each of us has been using AI for years before that. At about almost 10 years ago, I started doing deep learning work with big data sets at finance. Terry, one of our co-authors, has been huge into AI art. And Whitney, our third co-author, was also very big into finance. So we all have a lot of experience with how large companies work. And we've also had a lot of experience on our side work here with how AI is affecting how these companies work. So we decided the best thing to do, being passionate about this technology, was to write a book on how brands could use AI responsibly and in a good fashion to improve their business and improve their relationship with their customers, and also kind of to start to avoid some of the issues that crop up with technology that's this powerful. So we're at this point right now where we feel like there is an opportunity for a very large change, but none of us exactly knows what it'll look like in 5 years. So before I get into the book, one thing we do intend to do with it is we intend to update it on a consistent basis. And we're going to take note of where the market is every 6 months or a year, so that even that in and of itself might become a publication of its own, going, well, here's what we as a group felt AI was doing for the economy in 2023 and 2024. And we could see a progression as time goes on as to how we adopted the technology and how business reacted to it and what kind of efficiencies we got and what kind of problems we encountered. So right now, we're just trying to get these companies started with this technology and trying to give some advice on how to use the technology best to engage with their customers. So I'll share a bit of I will share a presentation with you. So as I said, we wrote the book now because we wanted to have brands have a little bit of a roadmap toward how they were going to interact with customers, how they were going to interact in the economy. And this was the natural starting point. A few companies have dipped their toe into this. Coca-Cola has done some work. some of the other large brands have done a little bit of work, but by and large, the brands that we've talked to are at this point kind of holding back a little bit to see what happens, but a little bit because it's a lot to get a company's attention around. It's hard enough for one person to get their mind around it, but to get an entire group around it really takes a plan. So we wanted to help with them developing that plan. So the opportunity that we've been seeing and we've been speaking about customers with is personalization, but not just the kind of personalization that you get today, which is a company builds a giant psychometric profile on you and is able to provide you with all kinds of customized stuff in a very static environment. That's all known, and that all becomes part of a larger experience, which is if the AI is involved, it's constantly changing that environment with your input so that you kind of get a concierge experience every time you interact with a brand or product. That's going to become a much more immersive experience, even if it's just talking to a brand through an interface, or if it's something, you know, more grandiose like AI building a virtual reality thing, or just your interactions with customer service. I mean, on that one count, today, you know, you start a chat with customer service, it's always from ground zero, as if, you know, this is a new question and no one's ever been asked this before. When you throw AI into the mix, it understands and remembers everything you've talked about in the past. So you start to cut down that frustration that customer service usually has when people say, I just don't want to call, I don't want to chat. It starts to increase the impression of the brand among customers. And that's something everyone's always looking to do, is to make the experience better. As I had mentioned before, Coke did a pilot where they let users use generative AI to create anything that they wanted to. But what they did was they made sure that the AI was branding things with Coke's proper branding, doing it consistently with their brand standards. So it was kind of an interesting way of getting users to kind of do their own thing, but make sure that the identity was built into it. And on a larger sense, the AIs can be used to kind of enforce this consistency across a broad variety of channels, which is something that brands want to make sure that they have a brand presence. But AI means that they're also going to have a brand personality, right? As these systems become more interactive, brands are going to need to be able to participate with people and kind of have that personality, kind of have that feeling when people interact with their systems. And AI is the way that's going to get done. So when they go ahead to do that, obviously, they're going to have to put together projects for that. And just like many other projects go with many other kinds of companies, these companies need to do it in small steps. You have to make a plan. You have to iterate that plan. You have to understand that things are not going to go perfectly every time, and you need to collect data, and you need to be able to take that data and put it into actionable improvements going forward. So it becomes a cycle, and AI really kind of plays into that style of doing things, since most of the times when you interact with an AI, it is iterative. You're asking it questions. You're trying to get to a more specific answer. You're trying to get it to give you exactly what you want. But one other thing we felt was very important was the human oversight, meaning a lot of technology people are very happy to just give it over to the machine, give it over to a product, install something, and then, you know, we can kind of be hands away. AI is going to need to have somebody at each brand, or somebodies, who are going to watch over what their digital personality is doing and make sure that there's somebody there to kind of watch over exceptions and kind of think about, well, is this the direction we want it going in? And this becomes extremely important because of something I'm about to get to, which is AI is incredibly powerful. And one of the messages in the book that we really wanted to push was that there is a force multiplier when you use this technology. And a lot of people look at it as, hey, we're going to become great and efficient, and we're going to get all this stuff done, and we're going to have, it's going to be like we have 10 times more people. But the problem is that you need to consider the downside of that as well, the risk of that. Things move at 5 times, 20 times, 100 times their normal speed now. And the speed now is already the speed of light. But this AI scale, it means that if you haven't rightly considered what you're doing, you may run into a situation where your mistakes get multiplied so fast that it just avalanches on you. Now, we all understand this in technology because, a system goes down and there's a domino effect and, there's an outage and everything like that. But that's merely just an interruption in service. If your AI actually has an issue and you haven't really thought about the factors around your public relations, you could end up with a huge problem on your hands in a world where one tweet can end a career, one tweet can end a company. So leaders do need to think about what's going into their model and what's going into their guardrails, and what kind of privacy and ethics they're talking about, and what kind of quality their data has. These become incredibly important for making sure that and protecting that brand identity with time going on. So one thing that's kind of fun that we did, which I'm going to show you now, is that we actually practice what we preached, and we put the book into an AI. This is a project I've spent some time doing with friends of mine with earlier books. I found a piece of technology that allowed you to ingest a book or any kind of piece of content and be able to query it online. We did this with the book I wrote last year that had nothing to do with technology, and it worked out really, really well. So when we got the manuscript for this, we decided this is the perfect thing to try, and so we fed AI for Brands into the AI so that we could ask it questions, and we could ask it questions like, what are the top 5 most important issues to consider when implementing AI with brands? You can ask it the hard questions like that, and you can ask it for it in outline format. You can ask for it in prose format. Now, this does take an extra few seconds because we don't have the megabucks that Microsoft and OpenAI have, but we've built something that comes back in a reasonable amount of time. And so it gives us the 5 things, and some of the things you'll see are things that I've already kind of touched on here, which is, the quality of data, the team's competency, the objectives that you want to get to. So we see this as kind of a demonstration of, where interfaces are going and how you can take something that didn't exist at all 2 or 3 years ago and build a brand new product out of it. This is an AI for Brands book, which is kind of being its own brand in an AI on the internet. It was kind of fun to do that. And you can ask it specific questions as well, as we had already covered it, but like, what did Coke do with AI? And it'll give us a little bit of a explanation from the book as to what kinds of projects they did. So right here, it explains that it teamed up with OpenAI to let people create brand images. So it's these kinds of interactions that we feel are going to be more common, and it's going to be a new way for people to dig into your brand and your company. And like I said, it's going to be very powerful. It's going to be a very different way of doing things. I think we could see a little bit of how this is going to develop over the coming time, but I think a lot of it is all of us sitting down and figuring out what we want out of the technology now that we have this ability to speak to it. So with that, I'll leave you here. I appreciate the time. And please do check out the book. It's AI for Brands, Embracing the Future. It's available on Amazon. It came out in the middle of November. And I wish you all very well. Thank you.